And we're live. Welcome, everybody. This is the Reality Czars podcast, and we're your hosts, Nate and Tony.
Hello.
We're so stoked. We got the Provo Kid on. Welcome, brother. This is the first time you've been on the show, so do you want to tell our audience a little bit about yourself and where they can find you?
Absolutely. First, thank you for having me here. My real name, call me Chance. I'm from Provo, Utah. I have a podcast called the Provo Kid Podcast. It's a solo stream consciousness podcast, so I essentially talk to myself out loud for an hour. And then besides when I do that, I have guests, typically local guests from Utah, and just have a conversation. You can find that. Log Cabin Librarian is my website, or Chance Blakelock, which is my first and last name. So, that's it, I guess. Kind of just a normal guy from Provo, Utah.
Cool, man. Well, welcome. And we got our first comment. Kyle says, woohoo. Thank you, Kyle. Awesome. We're excited, too.
Got a live audience. This is cool.
Well, man, so you've been talking about weather modification you were talking about, and you were telling me about some fucking rockets that they're shooting into space. You want to elaborate a little bit on that? Or not into space, I guess. I don't think we can get into space, but up into the fucking sky, I guess.
Yeah, the space above us, right? I recently came to my attention of this weather modification weapon, I would call it, that the government has at their disposal. It's called an anti-hail system, or anti-hail rocket system. So if you can imagine basically a ground-based missile system that's obviously aimed towards the sky, and it shoots rockets that explode, and what they explode is silver iodide, and I'm sure a number of other chemicals. And those chemicals are designed to create a thunderstorm. And so this is all public information. It's easily to find. It's cool to even go to the companies that make this technology and hear them kind of brag about it, about how they can change the weather. So I just kind of got interested in that because I heard about Lake Mead in Nevada and the drought they're going through, and was surprised they weren't using cloud seeding technology. And in fact, I was wrong. They recently started to use it, and lo and behold, now they got flooding in Las Vegas. So kind of connecting the dots there for me. And I don't know if they're using these rocket systems, but they are definitely spraying. They have a bunch of different weather modification weapons they have at their disposal. So I don't know exactly what they're doing in Nevada, but it could be a missile system. They could just be spraying with planes. And in short, if you're wondering what I'm talking about for the audience, chemtrails. But legally, they're called cloud seeding or cloud seeds.
Yeah. What's the other one? Astralized something, astral injection, something like that. I don't know. Yeah.
It's got to be complicated for them because they got to fill up those legal books, I guess, right?
Because they want to make you sound crazy when you talk about fucking what do you call it? God damn it! You just said it. They want to make you sound crazy when you're talking about fucking chemtrails, and the whole time they have been doing it, and you're just a fucking asshole. And just like, yeah,
I've heard like stratosphere or aerosol injections or
stratospheric astralized aerial injections, something like that.
Yeah,
they're absolutely real. And in Utah, I see them all the time. These big old fat lines in the sky, and like there they are, creating thunderstorms. So
yeah, buddy, it's fucking terrible. And they do. I mean, all I know is that we need to trust our experts, and if they want to vaccinate the sky with their fucking silver rockets, I think we should trust them. Yeah. And because it's doing so great out here. I
don't know about trusting them, but at least I want to start blaming them for changing the weather. Because what happens is they make these floods, right? They create these incidents, and then they blame climate change rather than themselves for changing the climate. So
the heart machine, buddy. The heart machine is real.
It is, yeah. A lot of people think the climate is changing and it's our fault rather than understanding that
it is. It's their fault. Yeah, it is. It's man-made. Man-made climate change. They're fucking putting their dick rockets in the sky and fucking us in the ass.
Absolutely. So maybe we should stop that as the first step towards stopping climate change. I don't know.
Yeah, man, it's fucking fascinating because like I've been hearing from like several different folks and people that are experts, and nobody 100% agrees with any of it, like exactly what their plan is or what the fuck is actually coming. And so like there's these ideas that like there's an actual natural change that's coming, and that we don't really have, like, there's these sun cycles and we don't really have a choice. Like there is going to be like, because I know that our North Pole is shifting hard. It's going like straight to fucking Siberia. It's going like 40 miles a day or something. Our fucking North Pole is moving, and supposedly, according to some people, once it hits a certain spot, our entire fucking magnetic whatever is going to fucking flip on a dime, and it might really fuck us. Yeah. And so like I almost think that these elites are like in a weird way trying to get ready for it, and I don't think that they necessarily have our best interests in mind, but I think they're doing something, you know what I mean? It's certainly, and they just don't want to fucking tell us about it because we'll freak the fuck out.
Yeah, or we might stop them, or
something.
We might go to their bunkers first.
Well, yeah, dude, I'm wondering if they're afraid that there's not going to be enough food, and it's so weird to me though that they're like simultaneously. So if we are going to go through like a little mini ice age or something, they're not letting us get prepared. They're like simultaneously like fucking us in the ass as far as like oh god, man, my brain is not working today. What is that called? People growing food. What the fuck is that called? Farming. But there's a word that I'm looking for that it's not coming to my head. It's fine. No, not necessarily, but just like, anyways, it doesn't matter. I just have to keep going. I talk too fast. So, but basically, they're just fucking us, dude. And it's like, because like, look at Bill Gates. He owns like the majority of the farmland in this country. Yeah. They're trying to take our houses. They're trying to clamp down on how much like our cows can fart. And so, they're trying to do those environmental regulations. They're trying to say that chickens all have bird flu. So we're going to have to call all the chickens. And it's just fucking weird, man. So maybe like if I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt, they think that this is not going to be it's not going to be sustainable in this like cold climate. And so they think that we're wasting our time on it. And that's why they're trying to grow bugs in those mega fucking bug factory that they just opened up in Canada, like the biggest fucking cricket factory in the world. And they're thinking like, maybe this is the only way that we're going to have enough protein to feed everybody. And they're trying to get us to get on crickets and like get used to it. But that's me giving them way too much fucking credit. They actually give a fuck about us and want us to live. So I don't know.
Well, when I give them credit, I think that they see themselves as some kind of like superior position than we do. So they're the heroes of their story no matter what.
Agriculture. So that was the word I was looking for. That couldn't come to my head. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Tony.
Yeah, so I think that they want to be these heroes, and they don't see us having any agency. Like they're there to save us. So it'd be like the equivalent of like your plane that you're on has a little bit of turbulence. You rush into the cockpit and going, "Don't worry, I'm landing this." But you're really good at persuasion, and you can persuade the pilot that you make better decisions in the air than he would. And you just proceed to crash the plane because you have no idea what to do. And I feel like that's kind of what we're going on right now.
Certainly. It seems like nobody's at the wheel. But they are doing some things, like the fear cycle seems pretty concentrated. There hasn't been a gap in the fear propaganda, even a week. When there was a day in the gap of fear propaganda, what was it, murder hornets, right, for one day? But they're always pumping this fear into us to control us and to create this narrative of like, I don't know, doomsday is coming. And I would like to think that, in fact, maybe there's a time period of abundance coming, and they don't want to hide that. And in fact, they want us to believe, like kind of think the world's ending rather than the fact the world's becoming more abundant. And so they'll limit everything, and they limit our potential for nourishment or potential for growth. And they're kind of dumbing us down to keep us more in control. And I don't know if any resources are really becoming more limited. You know what I mean? Or if cows and protein are really a problem and their farts. I'm not too sure. But I think there's a real incentive at creating a docile, weak population. And feeding them bugs is, I think, one of the best ways to do it.
And especially the bugs they're going to feed us, dude. We're not going to get any juicy, like, free-range grasshoppers. They got all that sexy fat in their ass and stuff. We're going to get some, like GMO corn and fucking soy-fed disgusting grasshoppers. And yeah, it's going to be bullshit, dude.
They'll be like, just like are pig farms, right? These probably bugs will never see the light of day. They'll be grown in these hideous factories where there's just dead bugs all over the floor. So I can't imagine that the future where we eat bugs is too positive. And even did you see the photo Dolly? He's the AI art robot. Did you see the photo of the last selfies ever taken on Earth? His prediction for those?
No, dude, tell me about it.
So the Dolly is, if you're not aware of Dolly, it's DALL-E. It's an artificial intelligence that creates art, and was prompted with the prompt like, "What's the last selfie of ever taken on Earth look like?" And it's basically apocalyptic. It doesn't look good. So.
Well, yeah, I don't know, man. I think these people think they know too much, or maybe they actually do know. I don't know what the fuck's going to happen, but I do know that every time they look through, what's that, Project Looking Glass, every time these psychos look through that thing, they lose every fucking scenario.
Mm-hmm.
So that gives me some hope. I'm pretty stoked about that. I'm pretty stoked that humans, dude, we're pretty fucking, like, we evolved, dude. Like, not in like the way that not like Darwin, but we're adaptable as fuck. Like, we're gonna live, we're gonna be fine, we're gonna keep fucking, we're gonna keep making babies. They keep trying to stop us, but you know what? Hey, you know what? The Mormons, they know what the fuck they're doing with that. You guys are making babies like crazy.
It's slowed down, believe it or not. There's not as many people having as many kids. When I was growing up, I was in a daycare.
How are you gonna populate your own fucking god planet? You need to start making babies like crazy, Provo Kid.
They're trying out here, but for example, like the family that I went to a daycare with, the family had 8 children, or it was probably 10, 8, 9, 10, and that's a lot, or kind of a lot. So families I know with 16 children.
Hell yeah.
Now most of my cohort, my generation, at most have 2 or 3 kids. So.
That's still above reproduction rates. That's still pretty good, man. It's so funny that like these fucking blue-haired psycho fucking feminist freaks, progressive asshole leftists are like not having kids, and the ones that they do have, they're neutering right now. They're like, oh, actually, Johnny, you're Jane, and so they hack off their pee-pee and they do all this. You know what? And they're fucking going to extinct themselves. And you know, it's fucking tragic for the kids because they have no fucking choice, but. I don't know. I mean, I'm sorry, dog. This is social Darwinism. Bye. Like, you know, it's the religious right. Like, and the Jews and the Catholics and the Christians and the Muslims, like, they're having fucking kids. And that's a good thing. And so
that's true. The Amish.
We need to have as many kids as we have. Yeah, the Amish. Yeah. The Beaners, man, we reproduce, man. We're fucking rabbits.
They are, and Elon Musk is really setting a good example for those in the autistic community because he's came out and he said,
"Shout out to my autistic community. Yeah, we love you."
I do consider myself autistic.
Same here, buddy. Dude, we're weaponizing autism. That's the truth movement. We're weaponizing autism for sure.
But you wouldn't believe that Elon Musk has 9 kids, 10, I think.
Yeah, he's a piece of shit.
What?
I don't even think he's having. I don't even think he's having these fucking kids. I mean, he said, well, some of them. Like, I don't think him and Grimes or whatever. I don't think they actually had those. Those are test tube babies.
Surrogates.
Yeah,
but there's still his DNA, right?
Yeah, there's still his DNA. Yeah, they're weirdo
That's
fucking.
10 kids. Think about that. That's a lot. For Elon Musk, and you look at that guy, like, that guy had 10 kids. Maybe I should have more.
You know what ever fucking talks about, and they should talk about it more, was like the weird shit that, oh god damn it, why is my brain not working? Jeffrey Epstein was trying to do in fucking New Mexico with his like, he was trying to repopulate Earth with his genetics. Like there was something about him.
He's got a lot of kids running around for sure.
Dude, that's what I was thinking. I was like, nobody's talking about this. How many fucking embryos are like, you know what I mean? Like, did the government take those? Like, and what about them? Did he modify them? Are they super kids? Are they fucking geniuses? Like, is there a whole shit ton of little Epstein somewhere?
I've been on this. Yeah, that's a great thing. You lead me in. You asked this question really. What have I been looking in towards lately? And just the general belief that cloning is so more advanced than we would like to believe. That they're actually conditioning us with superhero movies to bring in the new superheroes that they're going to, quote unquote, save the world. Because people will think it's a box.
Fucked up on this last Biden clone, though, dude. He's like, they really screwed that one up.
But
that's not him, dog. If you look at his photos when he was younger, that's not fucking him. Do you see the videos? Like the whole, it's not him.
You're
it's
right
not
about
fucking
that.
him. I don't believe that that's the same person.
Oh,
There's no
certainly you're
fucking
right.
way.
It's not him, but I do think the government has the ability. They know where Abraham Lincoln is buried. They know where George Washington is buried. I think they've dug up some of these people, used CRISPR technology, created clones of these individuals, right? And then
Interesting.
And then what they're going to do is use Elon Musk's chip and create the first cyborg. This is who the Antichrist is, in my opinion.
We're bringing back the
it'll be George
founding
Washington.
fathers.
Yeah, it'll be fucking George Washington with a goddamn computer chip in his brain, and he'll be like talking like he'll sway America. Maybe they'll choose Abraham Lincoln. Maybe they'll choose JFK. I don't know who they're going to pick. They're going to bring someone back from the dead. And they're going to
Lincoln, I think, is loved enough by both Republicans and Democrats. He would be like a fucking, he would be like a character that could be unifying.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
He's one
Imagine if he was
ugly Frankenstein-looking motherfucker, but
they fixed him because they used CRISPR. He's handsome now.
What would that be like to be dead for 100 years and coming back to this technology, right? I don't think
that they have the same consciousness. Like, I think that it's a brand new fucking, because I mean, I think that probably now, I think that you can upload your consciousness, but like back then they couldn't. So they're just bringing back his body. But you know what's fascinating is those motherfuckers were smart. Like, we don't fucking really think about this, but like how accomplished like our founding fathers were by like. We look at them like they're old men, and you see these pictures of them with their like gray heads. But I mean, they were just wigs because they lost all their hair from syphilis from fucking prostitutes and shit. But like, dude, they were like 20. They were like 25, and they were like
Latin and Greek.
Yeah, it was fucking wild, dude. They were young dudes.
Mm-hmm. Very, I mean, self-taught, self-educated, perhaps, or had good.
Ben Franklin was the oldest one, and I think he was like 30.
Yeah, had a lot of dead bodies in his house for some reason too.
Yeah, he's weirdo, dude. He's French. He's a Freemason. He was definitely fucking and eating kids. Like,
I love how people hand it off like he was just doing science. I'm like, you find a couple dead bodies in anybody's house, and people like
just science, dude.
It's just science. Like, fuck you. Okay, sure, dude. Ridiculous, man.
Well, dude, I mean, I think about this sometimes, dude, because, like, you know, the whole Roe v. Wade kind of shit and, like, the whole abortion stuff, but, like, there are codifying things into law, and I think that this whole, like, rolling back Roe v. Wade is just because, I mean, you know, there's some podunk places that are just not going to want abortion, and that's fine. And, you know, I'm pro-life myself. That's fine. But like, as far as like our shitty state, like Oregon, where I'm living at, it's like, it's codified in our like state fucking constitution. Like, there is protective fucking like abortion rights, like in our state constitution. And I think that they're just going to like double down, and they're going to make like more crazy fucking laws. Like the progressive areas like New York, California. And there's like basically like someone was trying to explain this to me. And I know I'm not covering new ground here. People have talked about this before, but it's like, let's say you're 9.5 months fucking pregnant, dude. You're like ready to pop. You go into one of these abortion clinics and you say, all right, take this thing out of me, kill it. And they go, okay. And like at that point, like they kind of have to like birth it out first. And so there's lots of them that like come out alive. Yeah. Right. And this little motherfucker is like sitting there and he's like alive. He's a human. He was a human before. Like I'm pro-life. But now he's like, now he's out. He's breathing. Yeah. He's fucking like using his lungs. He's using his eyes. The umbilical cord is cut. And they, you know how, like, what's his name? Ralph Northam was like talking about, yeah, we'll just keep him comfortable. We'll take him to the back room and then we'll let him die. Right. Yeah. But what if they don't let him die? Like, he's already considered dead. He's considered dead on arrival. As soon as you sign those papers and you say, all right, checked out, baby's gone. Those motherfuckers, then that is a life that they can do whatever they want with. Basically, this thing is dead. It has no records. It has no, like, birth certificate, has nothing. And now it is just considered dead, and it's property of the state.
Could be raised.
What are they doing with him, dude?
Could
be raised to be a trained assassin, could be raised as like somebody to suck off Joe Biden, and like, you know what I mean? They could legally have adrenochrome. They could just like, it's a dead body. I'm doing science. Put a straw in its fucking jugular and suck it out. Like, you know, I mean, it's fucking wild, dog. Like, I don't know. Like, use it like a Capri Sun, or use it like a fucking, like a fleshlight or something terrible. Like, who knows what these sick fucks are going to do with it? Like, I think there's going to be a ton of fucking babies that they're just going to keep and do what with.
Yeah, I think you're right over the target right there. I think the reality is where there's a door open to do a bad thing, people are going to do a bad thing. And that's kind of the reason I think most people are concerned is like if you give people the option or even the possibility to do something evil like you're suggesting, maybe there's someone who will take that path and be evil. And I think it's certainly possible. And it's quite frightening. And my thoughts on the whole Roe v. Wade thing recently is in just regards of this idea of personal ownership, because it's funny how the news cycled the My Body, My Choice thing twice in a 2 year time span. So we had the My Body, My Choice with the vaccines, My Body, My Choice with the abortion. And both parties fail to recognize that the government still makes education compulsory at the age of 6. So your body at the age of 6 is owned by the government until you graduate. And even if you graduate right now at the age of 18, if the government decided to implement a draft, right, your body's the government's. So yeah. I think there's some things we need to look back and say like, well, yeah, I think you own your body, right? You think you own some of these things, but the government's already mandated that you do certain things with it.
There's a reason why they want you to get a fucking, like, why on earth would a brand new infant need a social security number? What for? He doesn't have a fucking job. He's not saving any money for social security, which is a goddamn joke anyways. Yeah. It's complete bullshit. It's because they basically this, like, as much as like, the sovereign citizens are right as far as like this country is a fucking corporation and you are just their fucking tax cattle. They literally own you. You are property of the state.
Yeah. And to be outside of that system, you have to be like really fucking creative, I think. You know what I mean? Because you have to be, no matter what, you can't. I mean, I guess you can move outside of America. That's one way to escape it. But I think you can live with.
Then you're the property of just someone else's state. Like,
yeah, it's true. It's unavoidable. But there's ways to like circumvent the fact that school's compulsory, right? You can homeschool.
Well, we homeschool. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Right. And then you can, if you can't homeschool, maybe it's private school. Maybe you can't do both. And that's where we look into how free are you? If you don't have the option to do those two things.
People are lazy. Guess what? You can. Now, here's the thing. So there's options is what I'm telling people. For the most part, like if you're in an area that's like populated enough, like you don't want to be in a city right now, but like even in a rural town, there's people that want to do these sort of things. There's homeschooling co-ops. So get to know your fucking neighbors, get to know your community around you. And then like my neighbor, his wife doesn't work or something, and she's going to teach them English this day or whatever. And then the other neighbor down the road, that wife is going to teach them like math this day. Then hey, I can take the kids this week or whatever this day. I'm going to teach them like, let's build a fire in the backyard. Let's learn some practical skills. Let's kill a chicken. I'm going to show you how to pluck it. We're going to, you know what I mean? Like there's definitely options. And all the bullshit. Yeah, man. I mean, and it's shit that like people don't like. You don't need to learn their fucking core curriculum. Like your child is not going to be stupid because he didn't go to fucking public school. In fact, your kid's going to be a lot fucking brighter.
It'll work for them. You understand that because sometimes people, when they think about homeschooling, that it's an isolated event. And it can be for some individuals, of course. But what you're referring to and what you're speaking to is typically the ideal model of homeschooling, I would say, where it's a community. It's still a community structured system where you're right. You do have different experts in your community and you collaborate. And that's how you get the best resources out of your community. Is finding like who's great at science, who's great at math. And that's a good thing about the internet now. You can find these families and you can find groups to, I guess, build a structured educational community for your children.
Well, it also built up your community too, because if the government
then you know your community.
Well, also if governments are doing all these jobs, then people don't get a reason to know each other. Like, what do? Just hang out at a bar and drink together? Like, there's no actual reason to know your neighbors if you don't have a reason to know your neighbors. Certainly. Other than just be social. But if you're like, hey, like you know how to do this thing, and I want you to teach, then it starts to you start to form bonds, form connections.
Certainly,
yeah.
It's important to have that social currency and this because we are, I think, whether people like it or not, humans are geared or I guess designed for communal interactions. And
yeah, we're social creatures, man.
Absolutely.
We need each other. We absolutely need each other. And to me, that I like the most impersonal thing you can do is put your kid in a fucking public school where he's going to be one of 30 other kids inside of a fucking weird little classroom with all the desks lined up in a fucking row. And they have to sit there and hold their hand up to go pee. They have one teacher, and maybe that teacher talks to them twice throughout the day because, this little noisy piece of shit that's a bastard. I mean, that's probably my kid. He's the fucking one that's not going to sit in his desk. You know what I mean? And their focus is going to be on this one. And they're going to be trying to like talk the parents into giving him a bunch of meds. They're like, hey, there's something wrong with your kid. He won't shut the fuck up. He won't sit here and he won't sit down still for like fucking 8 hours a day while I try to teach him about like if Henry jerks off 12 horses and you know what I mean? Like why doesn't my kid want to sit in a fucking desk and listen to you all day? Maybe because you're a gross, weird bitch, and then you're also going to teach him how to do blowjobs and shit. Like we fucking find out like maybe that's the most interesting part of the day when I don't know.
You're right about that, though. The school system is terribly designed. I got a master's degree actually in teaching, and part of my educational experience, I witnessed some families. My specialty was special education, so I witnessed some families who were, I hate to say this, but disappointed to find out their kid wasn't disabled, right? And it's a weird thing to find that out. Like, oh wait, you wanted your kid to be quote unquote disabled or have these problems, so then you could therefore get these, I guess they called it
some
benefits.
Sweet benefits. Hell yeah.
And some of them are like, I guess your kids therefore opens the path to prescription drugs and like things like that. And the things I witnessed, like teachers, or not teachers rather, but like just systems condoning the fact that, yeah, you could be a kindergarten or rather a first grader and like suffer depression and therefore be prescribed antipsychotics. Like, what the fuck? Or like Adderall, and like they're just medicating these kids. And the worst part about this system that I experienced was the whole thing is inclusive, right? We like you for who you are. But Johnny, because you're a little excited, okay, hey, Johnny, you got to take this pill because unless you change into something else, we actually don't like who you really are. And so it's such a fake lie that
unless you want to be a transgender, and then we're going to shower you with affection and attention, and all of a sudden you're a good kid, Johnny. There's just some things Jenny. About you. Yeah, Jenny, and then that's what's happening to all these fucking kids, dude. It's like for the first time they're getting fucking attention and accolades from their teacher and their little stupid community around them. They'll put a little rainbow badge on their shoulder and be like, "Yes, you're one of the good ones now."
Well, it wasn't too long ago that they would hit kids. Like if you talk to someone who went to school in the 60s, they got hit by teachers. So they had to use violence to make this system work. Now we're using medication to make this system work. At what point did we just go like, hey, like maybe this is a shit system?
Oh, it is shit. Absolutely. It was designed to create wage slaves.
Well, yeah, but it's like obviously it's not working for kids. Kids can't function within the system without threats of violence or medication. So it's like, okay, like, can we do anything else? Anything else?
Yeah, we should do something.
That's the biggest thing, man, too, is like, this is a callback to like before we were talking. So shout out to Charlie Robinson. We were talking to him yesterday, and we were talking about what's his name, Henry Kissinger, and him talking about how they want to get women in the workforce, right? And so and this was also during what's her name, Gloria Steinem, wasn't that her that was doing that? The self-proclaimed feminist that like got all the ladies. Maybe I'm thinking about somebody else. Anyways, but part of that was them wanting women in the workforce. Sure, for like tax reasons, right? Like, so now we have a whole new tax base, but also it's because now there's no mom in the home. Mm-hmm. And so guess what? Like you can't homeschool. You need these two incomes because we're ruining the economy. So you both need to work now. Don't worry. Papa State got it. We'll take your kids. We'll raise your kids. And that's a big fucking factor, dude.
Certainly. Yes. I love that. It's a great point when that happened. And when women, I love the women should have always been included in the workforce, but in some way there's been a huge psychological operation to distort the perception of the past, I think. Like,
well, there's nothing more feminist there's nothing more like beautiful for women than making them to be tax cattle too. You know what I mean? There's nothing more than you have to work a 9 to fucking 5. You have to work your fucking ass off. You don't get to see your kids. And that's the other thing too. If there's not women in the home, they're not having as many kids. That's another aspect. That was the connection with Henry Kissinger too. That was actually in his fucking, in that fucking whatever, Henry Kissinger's, anyways, that pamphlet that he wrote. It was basically too, he was like, if women are in the workforce, they're not going to have as many kids. And so, therefore, we're going to have a smaller population. And this is this attack on humanity. There's this attack on the population.
And an increase in the wage slave population. You double the workforce, then you have to pay. Because, well, if you don't want to work, I got Jane, John, Jenny, and Jake over here. There's so many more bodies to fill up the spaces. Where if, before there was, a smaller workforce because it was primarily one demographic, which was male, right? But as you double the workforce, then they can almost get anybody to do the fucking job.
So that also started too, and they started like telling women, "Yay, get in there, work in the fucking factories," because like we basically killed off all the dudes in World War I and World War II,
intentionally.
And like the dudes that came back were all fucked up.
Yeah, it's sad, man.
Like Bankers my grandpa was fucked up.
Yeah, it's terrible what's occurred, and I think there's been a long con over every American, and the propaganda is just great. And American propaganda is the best. So it's nuts where people will, and it starts at school. Like when you pledge your allegiance to the fucking country, that does a lot to your kid and my kid's psyche. And when I grew up I experienced 9/11. So that day, it was all American flags. It was all patriotism. It was all like, hey, we got to gather the troops as a fifth grader. Hey, write in these cards to these firefighters and these policemen. And then my teacher mailed this shit out. Well, you know what I mean?
What? Like, how old are you, Provo Kid?
31.
Okay, you're around I'm 33. So yeah, I remember a lot of that shit. They weren't making us write letters to police and cops though. Fuck, man, that's funny.
Yeah, propaganda runs deep though, and it's hard to disconnect from that and realize that the government really does just look at you like cattle. Every single one of us. Even if you're a millionaire, I hate to break it to you, like people at the top, like Jeff Bezos is still a wage slave. I'm sorry, everybody.
And he's part of the hierarchy too, but he's one of the lower on the totem pole. And then his job is to create more wage slavery. Like he's doing his fucking his part. Like
what scares them is we've actually reached the point to where they could actually. I've worked in a factory at Kettle Chips, and I witnessed several forms of automation while I was working there. But I do believe we're to the point where I don't know if we necessarily need all these wage slave jobs. And the system understands that. These corporations know that. And they don't know what to do with all this excess population without a jobs. Because what are they going to do when they really can't automate every fucking thing? And let me tell you this, we're there. We're to the point to where if they wanted to take away most of all of our jobs, they could. They just don't know how to bring this technology in and then make everybody, like, what do we do with all this free time? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think that, I think it does take a lot of money to automate a factory. So, like that, I think there's a part of it that just, it takes a while, then no one wants to necessarily do the upfront investments, or that is a factor. But I also think that jobs are a form of social control. You know that if you keep someone busy 40 hours a week, you don't have to watch them do it. They can't get in that much trouble. Like there's different tiers of prison, right? Like there's not.
Yes.
And then you have something to take away from them too. You have something to threaten them with, because they absolutely, like, at some point, like you're saying, Provo Kid, there's going to be enough technology where there's going to be an actual lack of there's going to be a lack of scarcity. Like there's going to be enough automation that we'll be able to produce the things that we need, but they absolutely need to fucking keep us controlled. And so if for any, Tony, what you're saying, it's this person, I know where he's at 40 hours a week. Mm-hmm. He's not going to the bar. He's not rabble rousing. He's not talking to the guys and going hey, what the fuck is going on? Did you hear what that motherfucker just said? We need to get together. Let's on the weekend. Let's get a bunch of ammo. Let's start fucking practicing. Let's start let's get proficient. But let's take these apart. Let's clean our guns. Let's put them back together. Let's get fucking ready, because fuck this. They think they're come over here and take my gun. Fuck you. You know what I mean? And that's what you absolutely need. But if you keep them so fucking tired and bored, and you keep them you put enough fluoride in their water, and you keep enough assholes got talent on TV, and then there's enough Pornhub and Krispy Kreme. You can you can make them like fat and lazy and stupid and just entertained by the footballs on the fucking television, and like you're going to make them weak and stupid and docile. And that's their fucking plan, because they know they're pushing us right now. They know what they're doing is pissing us off, and they know that we have righteous fucking anger. Like some of this is complete fucking bullshit.
Absolutely. I love how you put that. It is righteous for sure.
But it doesn't even have to be that extreme, though. It doesn't even have to be like they're trying to keep you from rising up in the military faction. It could just be like, hey, we don't want you working on the side, contribute to your community, building up your social structure, because all of that shit, like, they become way less necessary. I feel like that's the real threat. Like, if you try to fight them in some kind of confrontation, like,
dude, with all that AI, at some point you're like, hey, why do we need a fucking government? Why do we need these people to tell us how to do this? 100%, Tony. You're 100% right. Yeah, because they don't want us to realize that they are fucking parasites.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, exactly. And there's the reason there's this drama in Europe, there's this drama always brewed up, is because as soon as we realize, like, oh, you're kind of useless, federal government, you're only really needed for a small set of things, right? And those small set of things is like war.
And it's something that we could figure out on our own.
Yeah. But so the federal government's utility is limited to emergencies. So if you haven't noticed, the Biden administration is fucking panicking right now, looking for a goddamn emergency, because that's how the federal government keeps power and expands power. So he's biting at the chomp right now to declare climate change an emergency or anything a fucking emergency, because all the emergency powers from COVID are drying their ass up right now.
So sometimes I wonder, man, just how much they're flailing. Because I do agree with you that it appears that they are fucking flailing right now. They're like trying to push Russia. Like, hey, isn't Russia scary? Holy shit. They're invading a country that is right next to them that has nothing to do with us. That we've been laundering money in and been fucking all their kids. Isn't that weird? Like, we should go and like send them billions of dollars, right? Even though that we're broke, we should do that, right? Yeah. And he, like you said, there's all these fucking emergencies, but like, I don't necessarily. Do you think that our president is even in charge? Like, I don't know if like we've ever even had a president in charge. Since like for decades and decades, maybe we used to have like Teddy Roosevelt was definitely in charge, but like there's some folks that like I don't even know, dude. I don't even know.
That's a good question, because you're speaking to the executive branch of government, right? So that's typically identified as the president. But I'm just more referring to the federal branch of government as a whole relies in and of itself, whether it's the president or not, on emergencies. So it could be, it doesn't matter if it's Joe Biden or not, because as soon as it's an emergency, then FEMA's jumping in.
So where I'm seeing it, dude, is like, okay, like definitely the weather stuff. Like you said, so they're pushing the weather shit and they're going to create emergencies. Like it's summer right now. It's hotter than fucking balls. And they're like telling people to buy electric cars. But then also Texas is saying like, hey, maybe you shouldn't charge your Tesla because like the weather, because like the fucking electrical grid can't handle it. Right. So, hey, maybe we're going to have a giant fucking outage and maybe all the old people are going to fucking die because they don't have air conditioning because we're going to take the electricity out. Right. Like some fucking terrible things like that. Like they're going to do some fucking fucked up shit like that. Man, I just don't know.
Climate change.
Go for it. Sorry. Definitely climate change.
But it's because then there's no bad guy. It's the boogeyman that you can't stop. It's COVID, right? Like,
and it's your fault. It's your fault because you drive a big truck and you've been fucking eating meat. I've been telling you not to fucking eat meat anymore. God damn it. Eat the fucking bugs.
Eat the bugs. Eat
this is your fault.
Eat the vegetables with glyphosate and all the other chemicals we spray on it. So it's kind of like they're just really closing all the gaps they can. And I'll be honest, the whole war situation, I think we're all going to know, this will be the canary in the coal mine for it, is when they close the draft loophole. So right now, I'm pretty sure women can't be drafted. Right?
I thought they were changing that. I thought
they're
that they
trying
could.
to, right? So maybe they can, maybe they couldn't. But as soon as because I could change genders. If the government I'm too old to be drafted, but I think they're understanding with this.
Are you? What's the cutoff?
26.
Are we safe? 26? Really?
Yeah, 26 years old.
Okay.
The government owns your ass till you're 26.
They can change that.
They can change that, because they have.
Ukraine drafted all the way up to 60, so they don't even care.
Yeah, like if they're so active, they're gonna fucking change. Like, there's no reason not to.
Mm-hmm. So I fucking yeah, man. There's this whole thing where I think as soon as they close that gap and transgenders are allowed to be drafted, everybody's allowed to be drafted, then boom, watch your ass. There's going to be a war on the horizon, and maybe they do those things post fact, like we get into the war, they dry up the resources, and then they open the draft policy. But I'm anticipating changes in that, and until they change that, I'm looking towards climate change being more of a threat.
You can still be a conscientious objector, I think, but I think you have to jump through some mega loopholes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, certainly.
Yeah, because there's no fucking way you're taking my son to war. You come and try to draft my son, I'll fucking shoot you dead. And you'll kill me first, I guess, or I'll take out a couple of you guys when you come to pick him up. Yeah,
I'm going to a country that I don't identify as American at that point if the government takes my kid. I'll go anywhere else. I swear to God. I'd move anywhere to save my kid.
I like to think that better propaganda. Like, is a draft even necessary? We're talking about this with AI yesterday and just how they're going to be able to program a whole portion of the population.
Yeah, perhaps. But I think the reason there's a huge influx of, you would call them refugees or migrants into Europe, is they lack that fighting age population. But if you look at Europe now, like they got enough people to have a good, healthy war. There's no doubt about that. But they needed a large, and this is what happened during the Civil War. In America, you had the Irish refugees coming in and supplying the North with soldiers to send to the South. So when you look at Europe right now, they've bolstered their youth and their population of fighting men in case a war does break out. It looks like a war might break out.
It's still so funny though, because the majority of Europe and the Western world, whatever you want to fucking call that, they still are like condemning you for having kids. They still don't want you to have too many kids. You're selfish. This is a fucking, like, climate change is real, and we produce too much carbon, and you're just a piece of shit. You're a selfish asshole for having kids. But it's funny because, like, we were talking about this yesterday. Like, there's a couple countries that aren't fucking around with that. Like, they realize that, like, we're gonna be fucked, because there's a guy, I'm bringing up this book again. I think it's called, like, The End of the World is Only the Beginning, or something like ominous like that. And he's basically talking about this. He's talking about a population decline that we are about to be hit with. Like, look at China. Like, they're fucked because they had that one-child policy for so long. So that, like, the majority of their fucking population is like over 60. They're not having fucking kids. There's like all these young men, and like none of them
age population.
Yeah, they're sort of fighting age population, but like there's only dudes. There's no chicks. They're not having babies. They're not getting married. They're just like becoming like tech dorks, and they're like jerk off to anime and like watch too much K-pop and shit. And it's just like they have to do something. And like the rest of the world is actually going to be pretty fucked. Because like basically what this guy was explaining in this book, and he just goes solely off numbers and math. Like, he's not a fucking conspiracy theorist. He's like a respected fucking, like, what do you call those assholes that go to school too
academic?
Much? Yeah, he's an academic. But he's fucking
he's a bookworm.
He's fucking brilliant in the fact that he's like, look, like the biggest generation were the boomers. So that was like the biggest, like, big birthing boom that we had. So it's a good name for them, the boomers. So holy shit, there's a ton of them. And they took all these like very skilled labor jobs that kept this country going, like kept the infrastructure rolling. And then you had Generation X, you had the millennials, and then you had the Zoomers, and each one of those populations was smaller and smaller and smaller. And they're just like, they're not having kids. We're not having enough kids, and there's not enough like people that are trained to take over those skilled jobs.
That's why.
So like they're saying that our infrastructure is going to imminently fucking crash and fall apart, like in the next 10 years. I don't know, man. I'm not sure. Yeah, you're right that they are gonna. The AI is definitely So maybe that is like their wild card. They're holding on to an ace because like
they don't need us. The big lie is that they need us to keep up this infrastructure. They don't need us.
They do, I guess in the short term, they still do, because like it's so funny to me because they're simultaneously telling us not to have kids, don't have more kids. And then they're like, oh, well, both parties, the Republicans and Democrats, no matter what they fucking say about immigration, they both want beaners here. Because they need motherfuckers picking fucking fruit. They need motherfuckers like washing dishes. They need motherfuckers like keeping manual labor. Yeah, keeping fucking fences being built. All this shit, and it's so funny. Someone was saying that too. He was like, And then all of a sudden you get Trump, and then he was saying, like, let's build a wall. And he was actually putting money towards it, and he meant it. And that's why people started freaking the fuck out. They're like, wait a minute. Because, like, even the Republicans always say that. We need to stop the flow of immigration. And they're like, wait, this guy's fucking serious. And that's why they fucking attacked him, or one of the multitudes of reasons they attacked him. Not that I don't think that he's one of these pieces of shit, because he is. I just think he's a stupid piece of shit. And he was like, just, you know what I mean? I don't think he's just a funny piece of shit. Like, he was just at the World Economic Forum, and did you see that video of him like praising Klaus Schwab? He's sitting there buddy with him, and he's like, Klaus is doing tremendous. Klaus is doing such good work. And I'm like, hey, Trump tards, are you watching this? Is this your guy?
I got a quote for you, though. That's my own personal quote, right? So as far in regards to this, is like, if you think you don't turn sinners into saints by hanging out in the choir hall. In other words, if you want to change the world or change people who are bad, you're not going to spend your whole time in the church with choir boys. You got to go out where the snakes are. So I understand why he's in these pits, or some people are in the pits where they are. And that doesn't mean I fucking trust Donald Trump or think he's a good guy. Every politician, every president's been selected, in my opinion. But I do think there's some good people in these bad crowds, because that's how you got to win. I think somebody's trying to fucking – I just believe in a hero who embeds themselves in this fucking sick system and turns it on its ass. That's kind of what I hope for, I guess.
They'll kill him, man. I had hope for Ron Paul. I loved Ron Paul, and you know that whole thing, man. But goddamn, dude, if for 1 second Ron Paul had actually gotten in there, they would have fucking killed him.
Yeah, they would have. Sure. He was the hope, and it's funny how the Ron Paul and like Hillary Clinton beating Bernie Sanders, right? That was an election fraud. She didn't. Yeah. She didn't beat Bernie Sanders.
Legal, because they can do whatever the fuck they want in the Democratic Party, but it was dirty as fuck, and it was really like explicit. And everybody could see it, like, and I think that actually kind of like pink pilled, like a little bit of red pill, and for those fucking progressives, they were like, wait a minute, wait, what? Yeah.
Sometimes like before I bring up, keep going.
Oh, all I was gonna say was like they wanted fucking Bernie, they wanted fucking change, and that, like, sometimes I still think that there's hope for them because they are radicals. Radicals, like, they just need to be fucking positioned. But unfortunately, man, Donald Trump made everything so fucking political that like anything he did, they had to take the opposite. So even good things, like when he was trying to pull out of Syria, do you remember that? They're like, oh well, what about the goddamn Kurds? You don't know what a Kurd is. You never heard that word before 5 minutes ago. Fucking CNN told you about that. And now you're like, the Kurds. Like,
no, you're right.
You guys used to be anti-war. What the fuck is wrong with you?
It's
like, no war for oil. No war for oil. Yeah, okay, let's do it. Let's pull the fucking troops out.
Oh, man, you make some great points. And the thing about Donald Trump is I think the federal government, when Biden came into office and was allowed to make as many changes as they did through the executive orders, was because someone was so radical like Donald Trump that when someone came in after him, everybody was like, go ahead, do whatever the fuck you want. Fix it. We don't care. And they needed someone like Donald Trump in order to make more drastic changes to the government. So I think he kind of wasn't.
And he talked a good game at first. Like he sounded pretty okay. He was like talking 9/11 truth and shit. And we were like, for real? Are you being serious right now? And then he fucking surrounded himself with like BlackRock executives and like fucking Zionists, like neo fucking cons. Yeah, he didn't call Fauci out. He didn't fucking fire him. He just sat there and sucked Israel's dick.
Yeah, I do think though that pushing the vaccine and making it come out faster might have created more problems. Like, so he might have like
100%.
So he might have, like, everybody was like, oh, he pushed the vaccine. He's like, totally.
Dude, he's bragging about it. He's like, it should have taken 15 years. We got it done in 2 months or some shit. He's like, Operation Warp Speed. And he's patting himself on the back. And I'm like, you're a fucking piece of shit. Fuck you, Donald Trump.
But it's a good thing, though, because all that rush created a faulty product, obviously, right?
It was going to be faulty from the fucking beginning, dude. I don't think that was an accident.
Yeah, certainly. But because it looks rushed, it's even worse.
I don't know, though. Like, it seems like the people who were going to take it took it, and the people.
But it also gives them plausibility, though. They can be like, "This was the worst fucking pandemic of our lifetimes. We had to get it out fast. I'm sorry. You know what I mean? Because like if this had taken like, let's say 5 fucking years, then they would have had to gone through all the clinical trials, and then they come out with this piece of shit, and then like fucking 20-year-olds are dying from heart attacks, and then they'd be like, hey, you should have fucking known this, you know? And but the same people, they'll never fucking listen. They've never learned shit, because it's like they'll still like I have like 3 people that I know that are way too young to have fucking died, and like recently, fucking blood clots, heart attack, dead.
Yeah, it's shocking, isn't it?
The one that like is still crazy, like one of them was overweight. You can fucking blame it on that, I guess. Someone like people will say that because I'll bring it up and they're like, well, she was kind of fat. I was like, yeah, she was kind of fat, I guess, but like she was still like 40. She shouldn't have fucking died from a goddamn heart attack. Like there's no fucking heart issues in the family. So like, anyways, but like the other one was she was like 27 years old. She was a school teacher. She was fucking healthy. She liked to go hiking. Like heart attack, dead. Just blood clots, heart explode, dead. Like, no, that's not fucking normal. That's not fucking normal.
And I want to tag something else in right now. This is maybe a little bit tangential, but I noticed there's the two concepts that are both permeating in the left and the right. And this fear, it's the fear of something you haven't seen. So on the right, it's all these chemicals in our food, right? So all these, like recently the news was Skittles, right? About Skittles as titanium dioxide. So you have all the people on the right in an uproar about all these things you can't see, right? Like a virus almost, and really small things that are harmful or deadly to your body. And you have people on the left worried about something really small, really something you can't see, and it's really harmful or perhaps deadly to your body. But I found it odd the way the propaganda is working. It's whether you're on the left or the right, they've found a way to create these invisible, whether they're real or not, doesn't matter, these invisible entities to just keep fear in people, like the deadly things in your food you're eating. It's the Skittles, it's the bread, it's the vegetables. It's like,
and it is.
Yeah, it is. But that's the whole fear. So like the thing about that is you eat your food, your preconceived thought before you eat it is like, even if it's healthy, like, oh, maybe this isn't healthy. So you're like charged with all these different emotions that the government's giving to you, whether you
and that goes to another level too. It's like, so if we are like spiritual beings, like if we're talking about the existence of reality and things like that, they want us vibrating at these lower fucking frequencies. They want us afraid, they want us scared, they want us angry, they want us upset. They don't want us vibrating up here. They don't want us communicating with God, with, you know what I mean? They don't want us like to have our heart ready. We're love, you know, and compassion and all these things. And man, that's a bigger psyop. And so like if we're talking about lizard people or these fucking creatures that actually run this planet, I think like we had a conversation with David Icke, and that was like basically what he was talking about is these lower vibrational beings are like feeding off of, like, they want to keep you here at these low levels because they want to feed off of that energy. That's like what they consume, things like that. And his, like, he was talking about, like, if we vibrate at these higher frequencies, if we vibrate at the right frequency, that is the key to get out of this fucking whatever this is. And so, like, to me, I was having a conversation with another dude the other night, and we were talking about, like, the Christ consciousness. Like, each and every single one of us has a piece of the divine. We have a piece of, like, Christ in us, whatever you want to call that, right? So, I mean, the Muslims have their thing, the Buddhists have their thing. But if we are vibrating to that frequency, it's like a key. So that, like, to me was like God, like Jesus saying, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No man goes to the Father except through me. And so maybe it's not as like it's just Jesus. It's like maybe Jesus is a frequency. Maybe that is what we're talking about, like this high frequency. We're loving, we're caring, we're compassionate about people. That is Jesus. That's that peace. That is like, if we vibrate at that frequency, that's how we get the fuck out of here, out of this prison planet, if you want to like look at it in a Gnostic way.
Yeah,
I don't know.
That's beautiful. That is a beautiful. I love the Gnostic approach to a lot of things because it's refreshing, first of all, especially coming from Utah County. So I love that Gnostic view, man.
Yeah, and just to bring it back down to another level too, it's just where blood is in your brain. Like if you're in a perpetual state of fear, you can't think in a rational way, and you become easy to control. And it's like the same thing with talking about
that's true.
Different language.
It's multifaceted attack. Yeah, absolutely. If you're afraid and you're frightened, if you're angry, you're easy to control, dude, because you're just like, you what's the word I'm looking for? You're going to react. You're very fucking reactive. And so they know exactly what to do next. They're like, okay, now we're doing this. It's like that fucking meme, the Dr. Evil. Okay, send out the fucking monkeypox. You know, it's that shit, dude. And they just get us to react. We're like, oh my God.
Oh, the monkeypox things. Don't even get me started on that. Just how they transitioned from a bat to a monkey. Like the whole flying monkey concept too is the way we've been programmed. Like this is a disease, and they've already brainwashed us with the bat. Now it's a monkey, and now we got the flying bat monkey thing going on. It's so deep in some ways. I think we don't even understand it.
What's a flying bat monkey? I've not even heard of.
Well, like a flying monkey would be like a monkey with wings, right? So a monkey with wings, you could put a bird's wings, but I imagine it with bat wings.
No, but is there something going on with the flying? Like what's?
Well, it's a disease, right? So the way it spreads, right? Like so, it's a flying monkey. It's spreading all over the world, right?
Oh, okay.
It reminds me of the Wizard of Oz too. I'm thinking about the fucking witch and her fucking flying monkeys.
So we had bats earlier with,
but really, you're only getting it through cornholing, so.
Yeah, but it doesn't. But the way the news propagated it was at first like it's in Berlin, it's here, it's this.
Like, all right, well, maybe it's only people that are butt fucking. Like, I saw a fucking article today, and it was like, even straight men that occasionally have anal sex with men can get monkeypox. And I was like, that's not a straight man. I don't dabble in anal sex. Just like, well, that guy's got a fat dumper. I'm gonna fucking unload a fucking load in that guy's ass. Like, you're not straight if you butt fuck a dude.
Yeah, the worst stories coming out from monkeypox are where you hear about kids are getting it, and you just have to ask yourself,
you got to ask yourself.
I hope that's a good. Like, I hope there's a really good story behind however that happened. Because so far, the stories have been real straightforward about how this thing's been passed.
Well, dude, that's really the thing. Well, one of them was a fucking infant, wasn't it? Like,
I don't know.
One of them was
trying to normalize it to where like they're trying. It can be anybody, so everybody should get the vaccine. So that's
dude, it was so fucked.
Age, right?
The way they described that, though, because I remember one article talking about it. It was like, 98.999% of them are just dudes butt fucking each other, and so it's all gay guys getting it. Also, but there's these 2 kids that got it, and it was like, you guys aren't connecting the dots with that. You're not going like, you're not making the fucking leap. Like, hey, maybe this dude just butt fucked a kid. Like, it's so fucked up, dude.
It's terrible. The way I think it's all just generalized propaganda. Hey, I gotta let my dog out.
Yep, you're good, man.
Be right back. Is it cool?
Yep.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, we'll keep chatting. All right, so Tony, no butt fucking, buddy. You got to be careful with who you're having partners with. I thought that was the funniest thing. Was the Who had an article that said something like, the Who was just recommending that they were like talking to gay guys. They're like, hey, could you guys just like calm it down a little bit? Can you guys limit your number of sexual partners? And so I made a meme about that, and there was like all these gay dudes like wrapped up, and I put monkeypox all over them, and they were like, no, because the gay guys, they're not limiting shit. They're like, no, dude, we're gonna have some big sweet gaping parties. We're gonna sword fight tonight.
Yeah, I mean, everyone knows the risk, and that's people make their own choices. So I don't know.
Well, dude, I mean, who did I tell this story to the other night? Were you on the podcast with me when I was talking about this? Like, I had a buddy. I think that maybe we were talking about this with Charlie Robinson. Like, I had a good friend that was gay, and he was, I don't know if he was married. That was just his partner at the time, right? And so they lived in this fucking like this huge house, and they had the upstairs, and then this family had the downstairs, right? And like the downstairs were these like uptight, like crazy conservative right-wing Christians, and like him and his partner would go to the bar and like basically get like 12 gay dudes, and they would go upstairs and have these fucking crazy orgies. And so they were just like doing loud butt fucking, dude. And I don't know if you heard. Can you hear us when you didn't have your headphones on?
No, I couldn't. Sorry.
Okay, no worries, man. Well, I was just talking about this story. So I had a buddy that was really nice dude, had a really awesome partner, very gay. But we were just talking about how gays can't keep it in their pants. So they were like a committed couple, but even them, like, so they lived in this giant fucking house in Portland. They lived the upstairs, and then there was these like right-wing conservatives, like real uptight, sticking their asses that lived downstairs. And so they would go to the bar and like literally pick up 12 dudes. like big old black guys, and they would just take them up there and just have orgies, dude. And like, dude, it was just so funny the way he would describe, like, he was like, yeah, I just want to see this big old black cock fuck my boyfriend's ass, and all these like horrible things. And they would be like, ugh, like make these screaming horrible sounds and like just scare the shit out of their downstairs neighbor. But anyways, we were just talking about how the Who was like asking gay men, can you guys just like calm it down just a little bit? Can you guys tone it down? Not have so many fucking partners? And gay guys are like, no. Trying to curb it. It's just 2 weeks. Just calm it down for 2 weeks to stop the spread of the monkeypox.
Yeah, 2 weeks, right? A lockdown on sex. That's what the World Health Organization. Is that what you're saying? The World Health Organization suggested.
Well, how many people have monkeypox right now? Isn't it just like a couple of hundred?
It's not like many, dude. It's so fucking goofy. And I think worldwide 2 people have died, like, and out of like a huge amount of people. It's ridiculous, dude. But they're trying to say that this is now a fucking giant worldwide like crisis and pandemic and shit. It's just not going to work. It's not going to sell.
It's I'll send you a link right now. It's on my, I posted about it, but it's a person with monkeypox, and man, have you seen people with it?
No, I've not seen the monkeypox. Is it pretty fucking?
You're gonna see it pretty soon.
It's not good. You don't want it.
Let's see this shit.
Like when I saw, I was like, "Holy shit, this ain't a joke."
Oh, it's on his face.
Oh yeah, it's on his face. It's on his whole body, my dude. It is not a joke. And the fact that anyone would play around with something like that is nuts. And it's so different than COVID, right? Like, and then
monkeypox day 11.
Day 11 is not good, my dude. Shit.
Oh man, I mean, it's fucked, dude. I mean, the way I'm thinking about it too is like, it's another attack on the gay community. I mean, the same way AIDS was weaponized. It was like Fauci did that to the gays in the fucking 80s, man. And then he fucking killed them with AZT. Like, I told the story a few times.
These are Nazis running the country. People forget.
Yeah, they're Nazis, man. It's a eugenics operation.
They don't even like certain white people. It's so fucked up where, like, even amongst white people, like, apparently there's muddled blood. And I learned about this shit later in life. And you read a few books and you even understand, like, in the 1900s, they're talking about the different races of Europeans. Like there's a hierarchy amongst the different groups. And
I get it. Nobody likes Italians. The French stink and they're stupid. Like, I get it.
The Dutch, the
Scottish, I'm on board with that.
The Irish have been considered trash for a long time. So, and that's kind of where I'm from. Like, I'm the potato trash of the whites.
Dude, the Irish were considered black people. They called you guys white N-words. Like, they were like, yeah, keep those fucking Irish. Like, once, what's his name? JFK, he won the fucking presidency. There's like literal, you can find them like newspaper articles say, hey, the Irish are white now. Like,
the way they've, like, it's interesting how they've congregated individuals' identities to certain groups that they've deemed worthy. Like, the fact is, like, I think, I mean, it's just crazy how everybody's willing to ascribe to identities the government's like puts on a piece of paper like that. I guess we're conditioned because we go to school and we fill in the little bubbles and they tell us that we're these things, right? And so it's hard.
Those questionnaires. What are you? Yeah, you got to fill in the bubble.
That's a contract, my brother, and you commit to being that thing as soon as you fill in that bubble.
I always would screw around with it. I'm like, I'm black, I'm Asian, I'm Filipino, I'm an Eskimo. Like I would just, dude, especially on the SATs. One of the SATs I fucking did fantastic on, like whatever state testing they did me on. And then the next year I was just like, this is bullshit. I don't give a fuck. So I just like kind of drew, I made pictures like, and like scribbled all over the fucking things and turned it in. And they were like, what the fuck did you do? Like, I don't care. I'm too stoned for this. That was like my last one too. I ended up graduating high school with honors. I did pretty fucking well. I have like a note actually. I was talking to my son about this. Like in third grade, they were making you do all kinds of weird testing back in the 90s, and so I must have been. This was like 90s or early aughts. And I know that what's his name was still president. The one that like put a cigar fucking container in that girl's pussy. What's Bill Clinton? Bill Clinton was president, and somewhere I still have the piece of paper like signed by the president because I was like in the 98th percentile of like people for reading and writing comprehension. I had an advanced college reading and writing comprehension. in third grade, and I got like a sweet fucking piece of paper, and I was stoked. I was like, the president signed this, and I think it was just like, it's like, it's fucking printed or whatever. I don't think he actually hand signed it, but it was pretty cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah, maybe he did.
That's cool. The president, Clinton was. I asked my parents this question because they're boomers, right? They're old as fuck. I say, "Who's your favorite president?" And they'll say like a Bush or like John F. Kennedy is usually what my mom will say, but. I always love asking.
Do they like the Clintons? I mean, do they like? Do they like Joe Biden? He's fucking Irish, man. Like, I got buddies that are like, well, he's still Irish Catholic, so we got to respect him a little bit. I'm like,
parents.
Do we though?
Parents, right now, I don't even know where they are. They gave up politically, but for when I love asking them about the past, but they both somehow like Bill Clinton. Even though he was a
likable dude. Like, I liked Bill Clinton. I loved Bill Clinton. I liked Al Gore when I was a kid because he was attached to Bill Clinton.
But Hillary's a bitch.
Yeah. Hillary's such a cunt, dude.
He disappeared so fast. Like, once he wasn't president anymore,
yeah,
he bounced up. And Hillary took over that position. Like, it was really weird.
Well, she's an old bull dyke, dude. She wasn't fucking in many ways. Like, they maybe had a fucking test tube baby. She never put that dick in her pussy. And she was just there because they were going to fucking put him in. Because, like, if you go back, like, when he was the governor of Arkansas and he did all the fucked up shit, like, he earned his spot for the presidency. Like, he was fucking whacked people. He fucking killed a bunch of people. He was embezzling money. He was, like, fucking letting cocaine, like, come in.
Yeah.
Like, he played the game right, and so she attached herself to him. She knew that he had fucking connections. I don't know all the Clinton connections, but, like, anyways, he had the fucking connections, and that's why she fucking jumped on ship, even though she wants to eat pussy.
Yeah, well, the weird part is, like, okay, he's been
and she just should.
Like, she has been in power in some capacity for so long that you forget, like, Bill Clinton was the like, you almost in your mind put her as the president. Like, that makes too much sense.
Yeah. What's so funny is how much they hated her. Like, even like that was her turn. And like, even though that like those fucking bloodlines and those families own the fucking presidency, and I really think that she thought she was gonna win, dude.
Me too.
And they fucking took that from her. She, like, dude, and she disappeared for a minute. She went nuts and she was walking around the woods. And like, I've read something about, like, because I don't even think she came out to give a fucking, like, a speech, like, to say, yeah, it was delayed because I heard she was fucking angry and hammered. Yeah, she was just like fucking furious. Because that night, dude, I remember that fucking night because, like, I went to bed. I wasn't watching that shit. I was like Hillary Clinton's gonna fucking win. So what the fuck is the point?
You thought that?
Oh, I hella thought Hillary Clinton was gonna win.
I knew Trump was gonna win in the bottom. Dude, oh my god! I told everybody.
Really?
Yes,
and then
I broke
while that shit was happening.
My family.
Well, dude, I wasn't as fucking red pilled as far as I was already a libertarian. I hated the government. Like, I was already like they fucking tell lies, but like I wasn't a fucking conspiracy theorist yet. You know what I mean? I didn't understand like the connections and all the shit that they do, all the manipulations. And so yeah, like I get it now. But like, good God, man, like I laughed so fucking hard. I remember waking up because I checked my phone when I went to take a piss in the middle of the night. They're like, Donald Trump won. I was like, what the fuck? It was like, dude, it was shocking. I was like, this motherfucker's going to be our president? Because, like, dude, I was working at this restaurant at the time, and, like, all the Mexicans, like, we were all just joking. We were like, El Presidente Trump, build the wall. And, like, they were just, like, joking around. And then the next day, no one was joking. Everyone was, like, fucking sullen. Like, oh, my God, we're going to fucking get deported.
Dude, best 4 years of my life.
It was, I mean, and that's the whole thing is like Donald Trump played a big game, and like theoretically, like I'm pro immigration as far as like I do want vetting though. Like, I don't think that we need people like cartel folks in here, but like families that want to come here. I'm a Christian, dude. Like, I love Jesus and I love people, and in the Bible it fucking says, hey, take care of the widows, take care of the fucking kids, take care of you. Like, I have no goddamn problem with the other thing is that, like, conservatives really should jump on that shit, because guess what? Those folks that come in here, if you embrace them for half a minute, look at the Latino population. They're going right. Yeah. They're going hard right. Why? Because they don't fuck around with the gay shit. They don't fuck around with like turning their kids trans. They don't fuck around with all this other bullshit. You know what I mean? They're right-wing conservatives, and like the only thing that makes them Democrats at all is because they're poor and they want a fucking handout. And so if you take these folks, if you embrace them and say, hey, we love you, hey, guess what? You guys are fucking conservative Christians too. You guys don't fuck around with the shit. Like if for 1 second the right took them in and embraced them, you'd have a huge fucking, not that I'm not right wing, but you know what I mean? They're stupid for not doing that. And we should be taking in these families.
And here's the way I like to think about it, because most of Mexico, South America, to some extent, are Europeans, right? Colonized by some sense, and it's a lot of intermixing of races throughout the past. So all I'm saying is a lot of Mexico is, you could perceive them as Mediterranean. Why don't we just rebrand like Mexico?
Yeah, look at this nose, dude. Yeah, I'm a beaner, but I've got some Anglo features. You know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely.
Bring in some big booty Latinas in here, dude, and breed them out. Like, they'll fucking get muddled. They'll turn white real quick. Like all the racists in there. You know you want that sweet fat ass. Like,
I just feel like you need to rebrand Mexico to Spain, and then everybody's like, oh, Spain's great. Like,
yeah, but nobody looks at Spain like they're white. Nobody looks at fucking Spanish people. They're like, I'm skeptical of you. You Spix. You're Spix too.
Yeah, Spain's got a different reputation. I don't know, man. I see Mexico and Spain as like the same country sometimes. Man, I don't know why people even. And I understand
Spain doesn't.
Yeah, it's all fucked up how people see things.
Dude, you'll never find someone more racist than Latinos, dude.
Really?
Like, they're racist as fuck. They hate black people. Like, I was having a conversation with some of my family because we had a family reunion not that long ago, and some of our family, like one of them did a 23andMe, and they realized that we have some black in us. Like, obviously, everybody fucking does. Like, we're a fucking hodgepodge. They're like, yeah, I don't identify with that part. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? Look at our big ass noses. What the fuck are you talking? We're fucking black, dude. We're Afro-Latina. We're like, you know what I mean? And there was like, no, we're not. We're not. Like, shut the fuck up. Look at this piece of paper. You're all stoked about like these other things. You're like, oh, I'm this. How about this big chunk right here? They're like, nah, I don't know about that part.
I don't recognize.
I don't know about that part. That's something else. I don't know about that.
That's something else.
They did a mistake on that one. You're like, shut the fuck up.
Man, I'm all for and here's the other thing about immigration in the South too. The fact is, most of the problems that are driving immigration are caused, I think, by U.S. economic policies
100%.
and U.S. action. So,
dude, in drug prohibition
policies, and in fact, if we just reoriented the way our money was spent, you'd see South America thrive. You'd see a lot.
We've never let them live their lives. We've fucked them over and over again because we want to be able to run their governments. Yeah, we don't give a shit about people. We want to run their government. You're like, wait, Colombia has like this fucking like rare earth mineral. Oh wait, these people have like whatever the fuck this is. Like Venezuela has a bunch of gas. Like, we need to be in charge of their fucking government.
Yeah,
and that's what we do. And so,
T-shirt, that's right.
Dude, and it's fucked, man, because like I'm not a socialist. I don't like socialism, but like I get when a country is like, hey, we're gonna nationalize this and we're gonna take care of each other. Like Venezuela's like, we're gonna nationalize our fucking gas industry and we're gonna fucking sell our gas and we're gonna take care of our people. Like, that sounds socialist, but it also is like America has no goddamn business going over there and trying to take their oil. Like, shut the fuck up, you piece of shit. Like, yeah, we don't need our giant corporations in there. And it's fucked up. Let them do their fucking thing. Let their people benefit from the natural things that are in their fucking ground. Let them have their goddamn life, man. And the whole thing, too, is like with communism, how we fucking tell them, too, that, like, we don't want communism. Communism always fails. It's so fucking weak. But they've never even had a chance to even try it. Because every single fucking instance, we fucking undermined it. We fucking, like, done coups. We fucking installed people. We fucked it over. And so, like, I actually think that communism is economically foolish and that it will fucking fail on its own. Let it fucking fail on its own. Let people figure that out. Let them become, like, some sort of pseudo fucking capitalists and take care of each other. You know what I mean? Instead of they muddy the waters and they make people hate capitalism because then you install people like Augusto Pinochet in there and he starts like executing people and throwing people out of helicopters. And they're like, look, that's like, to them, you can say like, oh, a commie's not a person. You're like, well, that's my uncle. He just got fucking chunked out of a plane. That's my Tio. You know what I mean? Like it's really fucked up, dog. And like, here's the other thing too, is like, I was listening to this sorry, I'll let you talk. I'm talking.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Communism is a great topic.
But so like this one guy was trying to explain to me, and he's hard left. He's a fucking commie. I don't agree with him on almost anything. Like some things we agree on, but 98% of things we don't fucking agree on. But what he was saying is like what made China more powerful, what made North Korea more powerful, what made Cuba more powerful, and why those are the only countries that still exist today is because they didn't fuck around with any semblance of democracy. And even though communism is supposed to have a semblance of democracy, right? It's supposed to be a hierarchicalist society with no fucking, you know what I mean? It's supposed to be like a utopia where everybody rules each other. Like communism is actually anti-state, supposedly on paper, if you read their fucking what they believe in, but it doesn't work out that way. But what absolutely made it possible for those countries to exist and to fight Western imperialism was that they didn't fuck around and they kept a dictator. Right. And so they made it impossible because what do we fucking do? We'll infiltrate another country's government like through a semblance of democracy. Like if you look at a country like fucking like what we did to Ukraine, like we put in a guy in 2014. We made that coup happen and then we installed the new fucking guy. But North Korea doesn't fuck around like that. You do that, and you know what I mean? So that was actually like a fucking, like they absolutely needed to do that. And that's why North Korea still exists, because they don't fuck around with this pretending to be a democracy bullshit.
Absolutely. Yeah, they just are what they are.
It's the only way to survive the West, because the West wants to use democracy that we believe in, that we don't believe in, and go over there and fucking install a piece of shit. And I thought that was a pretty fucking interesting observation, and I think he's fucking right.
Yeah, we've weaponized democracy.
Well, democracy is so easy to control right now. Like how easy it is to manipulate the masses.
Yeah.
It's like we've been data mined, and I'm not saying like every single person can be manipulated, but most people can be manipulated enough.
Yeah, they are always manipulated, I would say.
Well, they're fucking genius at it. The CIA is great at like, and then even when they don't like, let's say that they'll fucking make it happen. Like, look at fucking Haiti. You know what I mean? Like, look at fucking what happened in Iran. Like, they do this shit, dude. They'll whip up. What happened in Egypt, right? The Arab Spring. Do you think that was natural? Do you think that happened like organically? Fuck no. Sorry, I got an alarm on my stupid phone.
No, it's interesting. Like growing up, like maybe like 20, 30 years ago, everyone hated socialism, and now it's probably about 20% of people, 30% of people are socialists. And I don't think from either time period people really even understand what it is. It was just this emotion attached to it. It's like because if you actually like if the people who hated it actually understood it, they would be able to show what it was in a way that the propaganda wouldn't work. But they weren't able to do that.
Well, also, Tony, is like the way that they made the opposition. So it was capitalism versus communism. And so you're watching like our piece of shit government fuck everything up. And we're the capitalists. And so like you can absolutely make a case why our government sucks and has been fucking everything up. So like they keep you in this like Coke or Pepsi. They keep you in this red and blue, this kind of like it's a duality, right? And so then if you fuck up capitalism, you fuck up what you were, which is not capitalism. It's like fucking cronyism. It's actual fascism. It's literal fucking like economic fascism is what we have. And so like, of course, it's right to oppose that. And so then all these folks go like, well, what is the opposition to this? And then they're like, well, if this fucking sucks so bad, I guess I'm a socialist. Certainly. You know what I mean? Instead of like actual fucking freedom. Like the problem is the government. The government is the fucking problem because the socialist government sucks, and so does the capitalist government. It's fucking sucks dick too.
Yeah. When the government becomes when it starts acting outside of the people's will, and there's no way for the people to regulate the government. Like for example, our government gave I don't know how much ever money to Ukraine, but no real citizen okayed that, right? Like,
when did they ask me if I was okay with them sending how many billions? Like it's some absurd number.
So already we're starting to see the government acting without our will on certain things. And then once people become fed up with that, you'll really, I think, see some action take place. But until then, it's frustrating because nothing bothers me more than the fact that we're sending money to Ukraine. And when we have a place called Skid Row, That to me is so obnoxious that we're sending people money to kill people while we have individuals who actually really need help. And I don't know exactly how to help them, but I think billions of dollars might help them. Or might be a way to solve this issue.
You know, the biggest and best way to do that is to cut regulation, dude. Because like, look at Mexico right now. Like I've gone through Mexico, and what I think is fucking neat is, you know how those people survived. You're not going to see. I mean, of course, there's homeless people in Mexico, like 100%. But there's also folks that like take care of each other in Mexico and are able to take care of each other in Mexico. Because like, I'm walking down the street. And like I'm in the barrio, you know what I mean? I'm talking like in ghetto fucking parts of Mexico that like aren't pretty, aren't safe. But I'm walking through there, and guess what? There's little kids that come up to me. You want to buy some chicle? Yeah. You want to buy some fucking? You want to buy some elote? You want to buy some tacos? Like, hey, here's my house right here on the corner. Every single fucking house had a fucking like a refrigerator, and they were fucking selling like jarritos. They were selling Coke. They were selling like, and they were selling food out of their house. Like, you can't do that here. So like, you can't even make an honest living. So like they fucking will. They'll come over and roll your lemonade stand. You know what I mean? Like a little girl starting a lemonade stand. They're like, "You got a license for that, bitch?" You know what I mean? You're like, man, fuck you. Like, what are you even doing right now, you piece of shit? Like, fuck you, redcoat.
Well, you can do it. You just have to be smart in how you do it. And that's like ultimately the thing that we all have to do.
But that's the thing, Tony. It's like, that's what would save this country. I mean, not save it all the way, but it would help a hell of a lot is if we cut out the fucking regulation, the red fucking tape. And I'm agreeing. Like, I get it. Like, if I'm going to go and eat menudo out of this lady's house, I'm taking a risk. I don't know what the fuck she put in there. Like, it could, but you know what? I'm a grown adult. I'm allowed to fucking do that. We say my body, my choice. Let me eat that fucking garbage menudo right now, because I bet it fucking is banging. I bet it's busting. No cap. I want to eat that fucking menudo. Like, fuck you. This is my body, my choice. I want to eat that shit. She wants to sell it to me. I want to eat it. So fuck you. Step back, bitch. Like, let people be entrepreneurs. You know what I mean? We're capitalists. Let's let capitalism reign. Let's do this shit. Free fucking market.
Yeah, they want the market to be the internet, though. So the problem is they don't want the market to be your doorstep, actually. They just want it to be your webpage. The fact that you could possibly interact with someone person to person.
They get to automatically take out those taxes. They can shut off the fucking transaction if they want to. They can cut your bank account out if you said some no-no words.
Yeah. So they want the marketplace to be online 100%. And so we're like right now it is the Wild West where we're allowed to do this podcast, but eventually they'll be like, oh, that's a no now.
Oh, this is a big fucking there's gonna be a ding on our credit score.
Yeah.
Our social credit score.
They're gonna try, and hopefully America never becomes that, but I can eventually see where
we're gonna have we'll have fun in the gulag too. It'll be all right. We'll be in our FEMA. What are those FEMA fucking residency zones and shit? We'll have fun.
Well, I think that you just got to build up the counter economy too, and like because like it is going to be a direction. Like they're going to do what they're going to do, and we shouldn't have
to be a counter economy, is what I'm saying. But yes, I mean that is this flag behind me. You can't really see it, but it's a gray and black. Yeah, and this is like that's what we're all about. We're agorists. We want to see the counter economy. That's what I think is going to save people when shit hits the fan. Like get to know your fucking neighbor. Like this guy has chickens. This guy fucking grows veggies. This guy has cows. This guy does whatever. This guy fucking grows tobacco or whatever. Or fucking get to know your fucking neighbors and know who they are.
Interpersonal skills. Because I'll be honest, they brought down the Twin Towers. I think they're going to bring down the internet, and it's weird for people to think about like a demolition in a weird sense, where like, oh no, everything's gone. Yeah, everything's gone, Bubba.
The thing that nobody talks about was what Elon Musk said when he was talking about because everyone's like, wow, he loves freedom of speech. He's so red-pilled, and then in coded context, he was saying the Americans believe in freedom of speech. Like that's what the laws say. But if the laws change, then, so he was opening that up saying that if the government told me that I couldn't do free speech, well, then we wouldn't do free speech. Then also he was saying things like
he's a robot.
He's a fucking robot. And he was also saying part of your free speech needs to be, he said something about people being identified. So like basically what he was saying is like, if you want to be able to talk free, you need to be able to do it like with your identity. So like, I think that's going to be the big tie when I think there's going to be an internet 2.0. I think there's going to be a giant i9-11. I think they're going to crash this thing. They're going to rebuild it, but you're going to have to like type in your fucking social security number to fucking like sign on online. And then it's going to be you. And every single thing you do is going to be log tracked more than it is now. And it's going to ding you for shit. And it's 100%, dude. It's going to be the social credit shit.
So, okay. So what's the other alternative between like that and just basically not knowing whether someone's real or not? I feel like the reality is like, we have to figure out who is AI, who's a robot, and ignore them. Because if we're interacting with robots, then we're just being manipulated. But then it's also like we're controlled if we have this ID set. Like there's not a good way out of this.
Well, I think that's why they want to. So when people talk about the Great Reset, I think we haven't seen it yet. I think there's two ways of looking at it. Like the Great Reset's a long con where they do a lot of slow things. I think
how much? Oh, sorry, go.
No, go ahead. What's your question?
Oh, I mean, I was just gonna fucking ask you if you knew anything about like, how familiar are you with the Fabian Society?
Like the wolf in sheep's clothing?
Mm-hmm. Well, their whole, but like their other fucking logo, which they don't show very often anymore, you can look it up, is a tortoise, and cool. It was about being slow and steady wins the race. Their fucking mantra was like, for the time to strike, we wait. But when we strike hard. Wow. And that was their whole thing because they were literal fucking communists. They were actual, like the people that were like started the Fabian Society. They're like, yeah, Karl Marx is fucking awesome. He's totally right. But we think that he is fucking doing this too fast. We think all these revolutions are ugly. We actually think that we can get to a fucking communist, like one world united fucking society government if we just do this slow and steady. That's the whole like turning the fucking fire on slow and low and letting us cook. And so these are the same people. Like the Fabian Society were the ones that started the Club of Rome. They're the ones that started the World Economic Forum. They're the ones that started like all of these different things. Like if you go back, because I was always looking for like how are all these things connected? They're all connected to the Fabian Society. So like when they were saying something like, hey, the Canadian government has, like when Klaus Schwab was talking about, hey, we have all these young fucking leaders that we've trained and they're in Canada's parliament. What he was really saying is like, I've got a fuck ton of Fabian socialists in the Canadian government and they're ready to fucking strike when I tell them to. We're just going to slowly cook this fucking egg, you know, and it's wild, dog.
It's a parallel. That reminds me of a parallel thought that arose from Japan. It's called the 100-year plan. I don't know if you're familiar with it, where the elite in Japan formulate things and concepts of 100 years. So
to China too, dude. They've got Elon goddamn Musk. Tesla has a 500-year plan. That's fucking wild. Who has a fucking 500-year plan? Tesla does.
Yeah, Tesla. It's an imagination beyond yourself. It's a high level thing because it's anticipatory of life beyond yourself. And I think it requires a group of people to really create something like that.
Yeah, I think even just as an exercise, it's a really good idea to have. Like going back to the Fabian Society, I mean, what they're doing is working, and I feel like we ought to.
Yeah, they're killing it, dude.
Well, but I think that we ought to, like, instead of like getting like go back to like, don't be in a place of reaction, but be like, okay, like what are you doing, and let's try to figure out how to take your tactics and refit them. Like we can use this to bring about like Ari Gorst reality.
Yeah.
Because I mean, it's not going to all translate because obviously they're trying to centralize power. We're trying to decentralize power. But it's just like, okay, so how does this work out? Like they went into schools, right? Now, I'm not saying go into a school system,
but take your kids out of those schools. Yeah. And see, that's the biggest thing is that we need to take our fucking kids away from the television. Don't let them watch Disney. Don't let them watch all this fucking horse shit that they're putting on fucking television. Don't let them watch these tranny fucking like weird, all this bullshit. It's an attack on our sovereignty. It's an attack on our fucking human like self, our soul, our body, our mind. Like, yeah, man. And see, the biggest problem I think too is that like, again, I'm going to say right wingers, but I just mean people that believe in like hierarchy. People that believe in like structure and self responsibility, things like that. So like those type of folks. The problem is that we're all snowflakes, and I love that about us. Like we're all we're all independent, and we're all just like what's the word I'm looking for? Anyway, individualists. We're all hardcore individualists, and it's great, but it's really hard to get us all to work in unison because that's collectivist shit. But dude, we need to learn to work with each other, trust each other, and we have to learn to like spot the feds and kick them the fuck out. And we need to really just we need to make fucking plans. We like Tony, like exactly what you said. Like they took over the schooling system, and so they've been indoctrinating our kids for this longest time. So like either we start our own schools, which is a great idea if we could, but the first thing we can do is like take your fucking kid out of there. Yeah. Get your kid out of there now. Like government indoctrination camps. We don't need them in there.
It disrupts the tax funding too. So like maybe some school districts rely on certain revenue depending upon how many pupils are in the classroom. So if you choose to take your kid out of that classroom, that school might receive less funding and therefore...
And if your kid is a problem child, every single one of those kids that are on meds, they get extra funding for each one of those kids. Why do you think they're pushing those meds on those kids?
One of my favorite things to talk about is when I was growing up, the special education classroom in my K through 6th, so I'm talking young, in the 90s, when I'm a kid, there was one classroom designated for individuals with disabilities, so to speak, and that was it. And now in my recent experience was when I was had the opportunity to teach at elementary school. If you could imagine this, but there were 60 kids in an elementary school considered disabled.
Yeah.
In other words, in special education, so 60 kids. So think about this, like 60 kids, that's 2 full classrooms of kids with disabilities. When I was growing up, it was like a small bus.
Yeah, exactly. It was a short bus, and there'd be one kid in class that like was fucking over there eating paste and jerking off in the corner, and everyone's like, "Well, that's just Johnny."
Well, how many of those kids have done nothing with their lives because they think that they're just something's wrong with them? They think they're dumb because that's what they were told in school, and that's how they identify. Mm-hmm. And they just took on that identity, and it's a literal fucking curse, right?
Well, dude, that's what happened to my friend. I had a friend, and like from the time, like from probably like kindergarten to fucking 4th grade, they told him he was retarded. Because they would tell him shit, and like he would take things too literally. Maybe he's autistic. They would like give him they would give him like a coloring paper, and they'd say draw inside the lines, stay inside the lines. So like his fucking autistic ass, he's like, draw inside the lines. So he was like drawing, like putting crayon like on the lines, like inside of the lines and shit. And they're like, you're a fucking retard, you know, and shit. And then his dad was like, these schools are fucked up. Like, fuck this. So he started like teaching his kid, like he's like every single day after work, he goes, I'm working with you. That's what we're doing. And dude, my fucking friend, he's probably got like 145 IQ. He's brilliant. He's a smart fucking guy. He was not a retard. The schools wanted to make him think he was a retard.
He just understood language better than they did, and that's the problem. Sometimes
he was smarter than the teacher. How many fucking kids are smarter than the teacher? Way too many. Because think about this. Who does well in school? Fucking faggots that do what the teacher says. That sit there, raise their fucking hand. They do so well in school. They love fucking school so goddamn much. They're like, I want to be a teacher. I never want to leave school. I'm sorry. I know that you're a teacher. But those are the type.
I'm retired.
Yeah, but I mean, those are the type of folks that are like, they did so well in that fucking system. They're like, I just want to stay here.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
I understand that sympathy. Yeah, because you're rewarded for being you're conditional, right? So in fact, I love sharing this story. I was supposed to be in special education in 5th grade, right? Then my parents had to go to the teacher, and the teacher came, and the teacher told my parents, hey, your kid's acting out. I think he has, today it'd be called emotional disturbance. He's disruptive, might have ADHD. And unfortunately for the teacher, my parents had a PhD and a JD, which is a lot more than my teacher had. And they told the teacher, hey, you're a fucking idiot.
Good. You had good parents.
I did have good parents, but at some point I was labeled
That part.
disabled. And then the reason I was the class clown. And so I figured out at that point I was fucked. And unless I learned how to fit into the system, I wasn't going to benefit. So it was a big transition for me as someone who I was like one of those people who I graduated college summa cum laude. So that's 3.91. I got the medal over there. It means
good for you, brother. Fuck yeah. Yeah.
I understood the system, and then I learned to resent it. And I understand 100% what you're saying because it does condition you. And as someone who I call it, I bent the knee, right? I bent the knee to the system to.
It's smart to do that though, dude. Sometimes I think that's the smarter thing to do because I'm one of these assholes. I mean, I was born to be a fucking libertarian. I'm an anarchist asshole autist. And I was just like, what do you call that, man? I was born a contrarian. Like you were going to fucking tell me this. I was like, no, fuck you. And that was just me. That's just always how I was. I remember in third grade, when they kept trying to make me do the Pledge of Allegiance at some point I was just like, wait, what are the words I'm saying? I don't like this is bullshit. And I started refusing to do the Pledge of Allegiance. And they started getting I was at a Christian school. And so they were so fucking angry at me. They thought I was demon possessed because I wouldn't pledge allegiance to the state. I'm like, hey, Christians, that's called fucking idolatry. I should be pledging allegiance to Jesus. What the fuck are we doing with stars and stripes? You fucking idolatrous piece of shit. Go smash the goddamn golden calf. You motherfucker.
I think people like me and you, we really rebelled against the system, and they used to hit people like me and you. I don't know what that's called. They used to give us the paddle.
Yeah, I needed it, I guess, man. I was a piece of shit, dude. I was so mean to my teachers. I would look at them, I would read them, and I'd be like, "What's their weak spot?" And I'd start pointing shit out. And I was that fucking kid, and I would do it with a smile and a straight face, and they just fucking hated me. But nowadays they would have called us, what do they call that? Something
ODD.
ODD. What is that? Something defiance disorder. Yeah. Yeah, 100%.
It's a funny thing, to be defiant and to be.
And I'm like, no, give that kid a gold medal. This kid's a born leader. If you have ODD, that's what they told my son because he, I homeschooled him for the longest time, and then he wanted to go in and meet new friends and shit. So I let him go there for a little bit, and he got kicked out because he's me. He's my mini me, and
why would you listen to authority?
Yeah, exactly. He was like, what are we doing here? This doesn't make any fucking sense. And he would literally, my son is smart and he'll listen. He's not an asshole. You just have to tell him why. You have to give him a reason. You have to be and it's the same thing when I tell, because dude, I ruined him in a good way. I think I fucking made it good. I was like, hey, question literally everything anybody ever fucking tells you. Your teacher, me. If I tell you something, question why am I saying that? Go through what it means. Go through the whole entire thing. And he still does to this day. And I fucking regret it sometimes, but it's good. Wow. And he's I fucking love that about him. And he's going to be a great fucking person. And he's going to be a strong person because of it.
Those things you're talking about, instilling self-reliance and individualism. I think the left are trying to demonize that characteristic. In fact, in Europe, they discourage best friends.
Yeah. Dude, in Germany, they outlawed homeschooling.
Really?
Yeah, you can't homeschool your kids in Germany. But yeah, like you said, there's no best friends. You can't have a best friend because that's a hierarchy, and it's going to make this other kid feel bad. So you can't have a best friend. Yeah, everybody's your friend. Because I work where I work at, there's a lot of youth and stuff, and I see the people that are in charge of the kids, the way they talk to the kids. They're that was this big thing. They were like, okay, friends. They start talking to all the kids and start calling them all friends. Come on, friends. And I'm like, the teacher is not my fucking friend. You're not I take the kid side every time I see the kid acting up or something, and that teacher's being a bitch, and I'm like, because I see the interpersonal thing. I see what she did and why he was just trying to do his thing over here. And I get it too, because she has to make all of them fucking listen and all of them come over here because they have a schedule and they have to follow this stupid curriculum. And that's the biggest fucking problem, is that this hierarchical kind of fucking, not hierarchy. I don't have a problem with hierarchy, but I do have a problem with everything being unison and unified. And we have to teach one thing to everybody. It's no, dude, Yeah, the Common Core bullshit. It's like every single person is a fucking individual. We're all fucking different. We all learn different. We're all interested in different things. Like, not everybody needs to know this.
Do you know the only way to get an individualized education is to be disabled? So, like, to get what you want, what you just asked for, your kid has to be disabled now. Because otherwise, they receive the regurgitated core curriculum. In fact, the only way in a public school system to receive an individualized education is to be disabled.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and maybe some of those good parents, what you were saying is like, what are those parents? It should be, but you can't do that with this huge, like, it cannot be socially done, right? It cannot be done where the government has to pay for all this. Like, the way that this works, it should be communities. It should be like communities that have community schools. Like I have a little town of 8,000 people. We could figure out a way to teach the kids. We could teach the kids like in a different way that doesn't have to do with any of this fucking, yeah. I
love it. I think our system pisses away so many resources where if you were to look at it at the end of the day and like, oh, that's our military budget. What if we just put that to parks, recreation, public school systems, teachers? Have
more like outdoor school. I don't need to know how to play a recorder. How many fucking millions of dollars go to fucking recorders every year? And so parents have to fucking sit there and listen to this. This kid is never going to, first of all, a recorder is not a real instrument. You're never going to see that in an orchestra. You're never going to hear that like make any fucking beautiful music. It's fucking bullshit. It's a faggot flute. It's not even a good flute. It's a faggot flute. That's the first of all. Second of all, like not everybody's like musically inclined. It's not going to help everybody. Like quit wasting my goddamn time. Like if a kid shows like, hey, he likes music. He like, hey man, he can pick up on the notes. Like my son, I had him in some piano classes when he was little and he got annoyed by the structure of it because he's ADHD. He doesn't want to fucking sit there and do it the right way. But he has perfect pitch. He can hear a fucking song and he can go sit on the piano and go bing, 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 and he can do it himself. Like if there's a kid that is inclined like that, why don't you fucking teach him music? Take him over here and let him do that. Then you see this other kid over here that can't make sense of numbers, but maybe he can read and write fantastically. That was me. I'm not fucking great with numbers, but I loved reading. I was a voracious fucking reader. I loved writing. Like I should have been doing that. You don't fucking make me spend time fucking around on a fag flute.
Yeah, you should have had your own individualized education.
Yeah.
And the school should have spent a lot of resources on you as an individual, but they do this like same thing with the planes. One size fits all. Like, let's make a seat for everybody. And it doesn't work in education. It doesn't work. Like, none of the seats on the plane are comfortable. You know what I mean? Education's not comfortable. It fucking sucks. It's the most boring bullshit ever. And it's just rote memory. And then they actually encourage ADHD. Think about this. You have eventually you enter a system where every 45 minutes they tell you, oh, you were liking making that sculpture, Johnny, in art class. Time to leave. You got to go to the next subject you hate. Maybe let's call it.
You heard the bell ring. It's time to get up and go. Clean up.
Stop what you're thinking, right?
Yeah.
And so, in other words, encouraging ADHD and this, I got to think something else. I got to be different. But it's weird. They're always trying to change the way you think and condition your behavior. And yeah man, fuck. I'm so frustrated with the educational system in America because it's outdated and kids know it today because imagine this. You go to a teacher in the classroom and they're trying to talk to you about something. You're smart enough to Google.
Yeah.
No, tell that kid they should be there.
So let's talk about white pills, man. One white pill that I think that I've seen, at least in this recent, like in the last 40 years, is watching the right wing, watching the Republicans or whatever the fuck they are, starting to get woke on the cops. They're like, wait, holy shit. Red flag laws. Wait, these pieces of shit are actually going to take my fucking kids away. They're going to take my guns away. They're going to if I do this, this, and this, maybe we shouldn't just fucking blindly back the blue. And then things like, well, we got to have public schools. I love schools. So the funding for this. And then you saw people over the pandemic, these people were seeing what the education that their kids were getting. They were like, wait, what the fuck? And so literally the government was like, you're not allowed to watch what we teach your kids. You can't be in the room. You can't see what's going on. And then they're like, wait, you want to teach my kid how to suck dick and have like anal sex? Like, wait, what? Like, I thought you were just teaching them how to read and write. What the fuck are you guys doing? Like, so to me, those are some fucking red pills that I'm watching the right kind of get red pilled on the shit. Like, oh, maybe this government like overarching like fucking bullshit isn't the right way to do it. And like my problem with the right wing is that like they're going to fucking act great and they know what the fuck they're talking about, and it's going to be great for like 5 minutes until they get their next like populist in, and then they're going to be all behind it again. So that's why I'll never consider myself a right winger, because like as soon as Donald Trump became president, all their fucking everything that they stood for, all their principles went right out the fucking window. You know what I mean? Absolutely. And so we need some actual principled fucking people.
That's why they're going to introduce a robot like Abraham Lincoln III. I'm telling you, they're like, oh, that guy's principled as fuck. He's righteous. He's got a chip in his brain. He won't break the law. But you're right. To your point, it was nice to see a lot of people understand that they should care about their local educational system. They should care about their mayors. They should care about their governors, because at the end of the day, a lot of people got fucked by their local government rather by the federal government. And the reason that played out the way it did was because the system hated Donald Trump so much that they just allowed states to do what they wanted. But I believe if Hillary Clinton wasn't president during that time, she would have been, lockdowns federally.
100%, dude. But you know what would have been good is we would have had a fucking resistance.
Yeah, what Donald Trump
people hated that bitch.
Yeah, what Donald Trump did good, no matter what anybody said, he forced the situation to the states, and he made it a states issue. If Hillary Clinton would have got into office, it would have been a federal issue. And this is a great point a lot of people don't talk about when they bring up Donald Trump and who he is and all the things about him. This is often overlooked. Donald Trump made COVID a state issue. And I think that is way better than it being a federal issue. And he blessed every fucking American by doing that. And it is never talked about. I've never heard any other podcaster bring this up. He made COVID a state issue, and he forced the left to make states' rights a thing, which before they were demonized because states' rights were often associated with slavery. So if I brought up states' rights in college when I got my undergraduate in political science, I was quote unquote person on the right. Right. Yeah. And now with Donald Trump involved COVID, it became states' rights are a left thing. Oh, perfect. I love that. I love that COVID made the states gain more power. So whether Donald Trump was a good president or not, one of the best things he did was increase the power of the states during that time. And to your point, in full circle, increased people's attention to their local government, to their local school districts, and to the things they can actually control. Because I'll tell you, if Hillary Clinton was president, everything would have been federal. Everything would have been federal.
Yeah, and the point about that, too, is that we would have no way of comparing who did what, because it would all be homogenous. Where now, you can look at like South Dakota and you can look at California and be like, it doesn't seem to be much of a difference, really. And like nothing mattered no matter what we did. So
you can look at what North Dakota did as compared to South Dakota. North Dakota did it correctly. Wait, which one has Kristi Noem? I'm pretty sure that's North Dakota, right? Or is that South Dakota? Anyways, one of them fucking did great, and one of them did terrible. Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. And I'm not one of those people that are like a deranged fucking. I don't have Donald Trump syndrome or whatever they fucking call that. Like, I'll give him a pat on the back when he did something. Like, he didn't start a new war. He didn't stop any wars. Like, he was still a piece of shit, and he still fucking kept the bullshit going on in Yemen and like fucking murdering fucking little kids and starving them to death. But he didn't start a new war, so I'll give him that. And there was a few things that he did that were correct. But like when I think about if Hillary Clinton had come to office, I think that we would have had like Civil War II a hell of a lot sooner. I think that my problem with Donald Trump being the president is that he gave the right wingers something. So the problem is like when he started like doing like the fucking the bump stock bans, when he did something else too with fucking guns. He signed on for red flag laws. He's like, we take the guns first, then we do the fucking, then we can check, and like that kind of shit. Like, your 3%ers, your fucking like your oath keepers, your fucking right wingers that have been like I'm ready to fucking kill them. Like, those guys unfortunately, they fell for the fucking like QAnon psyop where they was like, well, we just got to trust the plan. Donald Trump has our best interest for us. Just wait, because he's going to put Hillary Clinton in Guantanamo, and like that didn't happen. That was fucking bullshit. You should have fucking rose up right then and there and say, I don't give a fuck. Bump stocks are stupid. They don't really work very well. But you know what? Fuck you. You're not taking anything. Fuck you. And if Hillary Clinton had done that, people would have been like, fuck this bitch. I hate her. She's a fucking lizard. She fucks kids. She's a gross pig. Fuck her. We're rising up now. And the problem is like the right wing just like cucked. And so whenever you have a right winger, so that was my big problem with fucking Donald Trump. He just made it too easy for the right to just like bend over and fucking take it.
Certainly. He has a lot of flaws. Most presidents do.
He does, but he was just a right winger. And so
I don't like any of them, okay? I don't like Donald Trump. I think you get your president, guess what? I don't like you and I question you. I don't like any president. I don't like the next president. Here's my point of view. I don't like you. You're a politician. I'm here to check you. And I'm here to call you a liar. That's my whole role. And you know what I mean? Whether it's
every politician should be assumed to be full of shit.
Yeah.
The first thing that comes out of their mouth, you should, just go through it and be like, absolutely. It should be fucking.
I don't trust any.
I feel you.
So man, just Donald, whether it's Donald Trump or Hillary Clinton, fuck them both. You know what I mean?
We got the Trump coming back. What do you think?
Do I think he's coming back?
Yeah.
If he does, he does. If he doesn't, he doesn't. I think the world is there's going to be something unexpected, and there's something I can't predict. And it's an easy prediction to say that, but I think they're going to try to create a false flag with no enemy. So whether it's an asteroid they've attached a satellite to that crashes into Russia, or aliens, I think there's something way bigger than whether Donald Trump will be the next president or not. I think we're going into a new phase where the Great Reset will be obvious. We're like, right now, we're trying to, like, I still pay for cash. Nothing's really changed in my life as far as where I live. There's no COVID checks. Masks are gone. You know what I mean? Nothing. The world is just like it was almost in 2019, as far as where I live in Utah.
You know what I see, man, which I think is unfortunate? I see this like manipulation of religious people and of people that consider themselves atheists. They like, if you listen to the World I need to slow down when I talk. If you look at the World Economic Forum, you look at who's the other one? Not is it NATO? I think it's NATO. They have like their own religious creed, and they're talking about this. That seems crazy, right? But look into it about the Lucis Trust. Look into the Lucis Trust, and look into they're the ones that started NATO, and like they're talking about. I'll try to find the documents because we just talked to somebody about this. I was going to say, Ryan Dean from Dangerous World. I was going to say Dangerous History. I'm retarded. But like we were talking about this, and we were talking about the Lucis Trust, and we were talking about like NATO and their fucking pseudo-religious bullshit. They're talking about like a savior that's going to come back, and they call him like. Anyways, they have like some weird names for him, and they do these like invocations and prayers talking about this thing that's coming back. And I don't know if this is going to be like Project Bluebeam sort of thing where they're going to fake the second coming of Christ. They're going to like. Yeah, it could be Abraham Lincoln, dude. Like for real, I have no idea. It could be 100% like cyborg Abraham Lincoln. But they're gonna bring somebody, and they're gonna be like, "This is the Christ. This is gonna be the peacemaker. He came for the second coming." And they're gonna try to like unify like everyone, and like these big giant like mega churches, all these big like foundations, and like all these people, they're all in line with it. Like they've all been in line with this. Like it's pretty universal. It's pretty creepy. It's like they're in line with Vatican II. Like they're in line with a lot of like Islamic churches and all these things. They're going to try to make a one world religion, and like from that, like a one world government. And it's pretty wild, dude. And they're talking about it out in the open, which is the scary thing.
It reminds me of the George Carlin quote, like, when you're born in this world, you're born into a circus or a sideshow. And if you're born into America, you get a front row ticket. And it really does seem like when you talk about things like that, I don't want to say I'm excited to see these things happen, but it sounds fucking cool.
It does sound cool. And the scariest part though is just how many fucking truthers are going to fall for it. Like, because I know like a bunch of and this is another thing that like Ryan Dean fucking like really bags on is the spirituality, the spiritual community, the ones that are really like, and I get that because like it gets woo woo and it gets like, and these people think that this consciousness is coming and like, and I've been talking to folks like in the spiritual community that are actually excited about it. They think this is going to be a good thing. And I'm like, dog, this is not a good thing. When any of these people all agree on something, it's not a fucking good thing. It's not in our best interest. It's not here to help us out. Like I'm worried about it. I don't think it's a good thing. Like you said, like maybe let's pop some fucking organic popcorn and let's watch this like unfold. And I'll be like sitting here with my family. We've got enough food. I've got enough ammo. Fuck you. But
it would be, because here's the thing. I want to live during the most exciting time period of life.
Dude, we're here. This is pretty exciting. I like it.
Like, front row tickets, baby. You gotta love it. And I don't want to live in a time period where I can't not enjoy it. And there is this little, and this is the fear thing going on, where I honestly think at the end of the day, there's this weird, it's called the second coming. I call it, there used to be this weird, I don't want to call it a curse, but this spell they had over the Christendom or the Christian belief of a second coming. So they always have people.
They still do dispensationalism, dude. Like
what
that whole fucking Zionism. They're ready for it. They're like, because they're like they're waiting for that fucking third temple to be built. They're like watching Revelations. They're like, holy shit is happening, and they're going to like these people, the architects of this, are going to make it fit in that box. So then all the Christians will be like, oh, I guess that is Jesus.
Certainly, and
Jesus came back.
Also, the scientific community wants to hijack this belief, because whether it's true or not, there's this weird conditioning that's been placed over to people to make them always think the end is nigh, so to speak. Mm-hmm. And so it was always the second coming, and now it's climate change, but before it was nuclear war. But there's always this, the government and the powers that be, they'll never give away that card, by the way. So if you're ever in a time period where the government or the system of propaganda isn't telling you the end is nigh, you're in utopia, right? Because they need that. They need you, whether no matter what. If you're an atheist, it's climate change. If you're a Christian, it's the second coming. They want you to always believe the world is close to ending, because that's how they operate everything. So you might as well spend your money now.
Yeah, I agree with you, man. You know, some things that I've been seeing though too, which is pretty fantastic. Like I just read an article about that. It was like there are some white pills that are starting to appear. It's like, so I guess like, so the COVID narrative is basically done. They know, like there's still some people that believe it because they're fucking idiots, or there's people that pretend to believe it because like it wins them social points. And if they turned on it for 1 second, they would be ostracized from their fucking shitty fucking liberal progressive communities. But for the most part, for normal fucking people, the COVID narrative is done and over. And like, absolutely. And I don't even think that the government, is like pushing it hard anymore. They're still like, they'll still have like Fauci dog or some fucking retard in a white coat go out there and say, everyone needs to get vaccinated, that sort of thing. But like, dude, what I thought was a giant fucking white pill was like there was a huge class action lawsuit like with all these doctors and nurses that like had to lose their fucking jobs and quit. And they were like, no, I'm not going to take your fucking jab. They just won, dude. They just won an $800 million fucking case, and they're going to get their jobs back. They're getting their fucking jobs back, and they're getting a fucking they're getting a payout. Wow. And like to me, it's and so if you do not fucking bend the knee, if you say fuck you, if you stick by truth and you just like the truth will set you free, like do not bend the knee, do not fucking kiss these people's shoes.
You're right.
They won. It might suck in the short term. It's gonna fucking suck. God damn it! I just lost my 6-figure job. But like it's worth it. It's worth it, dude. It's worth it because you get to keep your body integrity. You get to keep your fucking respect. Dude, yeah.
That's like, what you said, personal
sovereignty. Awesome.
Yeah. It's all about that. And I mean, I love how you brought it back to that. It is, and this is the whole issue to me with whether it's COVID or anything, it's personal sovereignty. You either own your body or you don't. It's a pretty simple question. Does the government own you? Do you, like, does the corporation own you? I'm all about personal sovereignty. That's the end all be all question for me. It's like that's where everything starts. You either own yourself or you don't.
Yeah.
It's a tough thing to talk about too, because even full circle to the abortion or Roe v. Wade conversation we brought in the beginning. How do you claim ownership over another body? It's a weird thing when people, and I also like to bring this up about Roe v. Wade. I forgot to bring this up. It's if there were only two people left on Earth, wouldn't everybody agree that that was a child in anybody's stomach? Like, like if we just change the parameters really quick and say there's only one person left on Earth, is that a kid? Oh, it is a kid. You know what I mean? The conversation ends pretty quickly.
Dude, if I go down the road and I punch some lady in the gut and that baby dies, I'll get charged with murder.
There you go. Right?
But at the same time, it's just a clump of cells. Could I use that as my defense? Like, my defense? Like, hey, abortion is codified in law. Like, that's just a clump of cells. I've been told, reliably told by the experts. I trust science.
On a planet, it's a couple cells. You know what I mean? It's so funny, dude. They consider life on a planet a couple cells, and life in a person non-existent. But man, we've approached 2 hours, my guys, and I might have to go use the fucking restroom. Or how long do you usually record for?
We've gone over, man.
Yeah,
we usually try to keep it 1:15, 1:30. So, but this was a good conversation, man. This was fun. Provo Kid. Yeah, man. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it.
You want to give your plugs again?
Just check me out, Provo Kid, on Instagram, Provo Kid Podcast. That's about it, guys. I do sell merch on eBay. I've actually sold out. I got to update my merch section. But I'll be sending both of you merch. So that's something I do personally. If anybody's a podcast fan, I got to warn you ahead. I only do hoodies. So whether you live in Colorado, Alaska, Hawaii, or California, wherever you're from, you're going to get a hoodie. So I'll be sending you guys some merch pretty soon. Just thank you for having me, and I really appreciate it. So
awesome.
You guys are a blessing.
Awesome. I think
blessings, man. Yeah. Much
Take
love,
care,
man.
brothers. Hey, and if you guys also are interested, I'd love to have you on my own podcast, and we'll do something, do this again.
Absolutely, man. Anytime.
God
Cheers, brother.
Take it easy, Nate. Have a good time, John.